2 years ago today, I left the banking institution that I worked at for 7 years. It was such a hard decision because, quite frankly, I probably should have left months before. But after 6 promotions, I was comfortable. I had already built a name for myself. People already knew who I was. So I was scared to move on. But it was that 6th and final promotion that actually began the downward spiral to what I felt was the worst time of my life. And it's crazy because it was the person that I was with at the time that recognized my worth before I did. Before I even took the promotion, she said to me, "You're worth more than what this banking institution is giving you. I think you should look at other opportunities." But I didn't. I stayed put. I stayed comfortable. And I took the promotion that I thought would be a good one. But the crazy thing is, sometimes you have to start listening and seeing the signs. Because not only was she saying, "Rashawn, it's time to go," I had family members saying, "Rashawn, it's time to go." And with my religious background, I knew that God was saying, "Rashawn, I have something better for you," but I was not listening. And as 2018 began, with the way our pay scale worked, I literally was not getting paid from January for months. And so it was hard because I had to live from the savings that I had made and still try to live this lifestyle that I was living. I was on the board of directors at LaSalle, and I had someone that I was with that was a lifestyle that I really wanted to make sure that I kept up with. When you see people, you never know what they're going through. Because through it all, every time I left my house, I smiled. I did what I had to do. But what people didn't know in the background was that in order for me to live the way I was living at that time, I had to do additional things like a rideshare program. I had to drive for Lyft and Uber. And it was a struggle. It was a strain on my relationship. It was a strain on my friendships. It was a strain on my family dynamic. It began to hamper and cripple the people and the relationships that I cared about most. And leading up to July 16th, 2018, so much happened. And as I think about it, I begin to get emotion because I remember the time when I was interviewing for the very firm that I'm with now, and I received a phone call. The person that came in my house, she said, "Rashawn, the lights are off. The refrigerator's not working. The lights won't turn on." I didn't have the guts to tell her it's because the Pico bill wasn't paid. I couldn't pay my bills. But I stayed in that comfortability just because I was afraid to step up into a new atmosphere. And as I continue to move on and think about what happened during that time, I'm so grateful for having someone who rode for me, who encouraged me, who gave me the constructive criticism that I need. It's so important in life that you have someone near you that's not going to be a yes man, that cares about you enough to tell you when you need to move on from something, when you need to add something, and when you need to continue something. And that's what I had, and I'm so lucky because that's what allowed me at the time to decide to move on from that job. And as I look back and I think about what happened in the summer of 2018, I started my business, Shine LLC, just before I left. But what most people don't know is I started that business based on money that I earned driving Lyft. Late nights, early mornings, all weekends, because I knew what could happen for me in the future if I just invested the time and that money, even when I barely had money to pay my bills. And the craziest thing, the last straw that made me decide to leave that company was the fact that 2 days before, my car was repossessed. And I remember sending an email out to my team saying, "Hey guys, For personal reasons, I won't be in today. I know we have appointments, but I'm going to have to reschedule them. And I would never forget where I was at because I had to borrow my mom's car so that I could drive Lyft for the weekend so that Monday I had enough money to get my car out of the impound. And my boss called me and said, "Hey, buddy, where are you?" And I said, "Did you read my email?" And I told him. And there was no remorse. There was no care. There was no support. And at that moment, I was reminded what my significant other said at the time back in December before I was promoted, that they don't know your worth. You're only a number to them, and they don't really care what you have to offer. See, in that moment, I realized I had to stop working towards somebody else's dream, and I had to work towards my dream at all costs. At the loss of friendships, at hampered relationships. I didn't talk to family members for months. But when I look back at 2018 and where I am now, man, I had no idea. No idea. 2019 was my best year ever. I went from making no money in 2018 to 6 figures in 2019. And since I left that company, throughout the multiple streams of revenue that I had and still have, I've been able to gross over $180,000. I'm not telling you guys this to brag. I'm telling you guys this because that was my moment. That was my breakthrough. I couldn't do it anymore. And what I said to myself in that moment was, this is the time where I will no longer have one stream of revenue where I'm controlled by somebody else. I'm going to have multiple streams of revenue where I control where my money comes in, where I control what I do, how I do it, and what my freedom looks like. That's what July 16th means to me, especially July 16th, 2018. That's what that means to me. So my lesson to you guys today is threefold. 1, I would not have been able to do what I did and leave that company. I didn't receive another paycheck till December 1st, 2018, without the support that I had by that person who was by my side no matter what. The encouragement, the inspiration, the power in just being futuristic. You need to have people in your corner that rise for you. That's lesson number 1. So when you commit to following your dream, make sure you check your circle. And lesson number 2, don't be afraid to take the first step. It only takes one step to build the momentum that you need to get where you got to go. You just have to stay consistent, stay steadfast, and understand that no storm lasts forever. And listen to the cues, y'all. The universe be telling us what we need to do. And lastly, invest in yourself. I invested my time. I lost friendships, hampered relationships. I lost the opportunity to spend time with family members because I had to be out there doing the only thing I knew how to do, which was drive, not just for a living, but to build my future, to build my dream. And then I invested that money into what I'm doing now. And guess what? It's paid me back twofold. I didn't have a dime. But every penny I earned doing rideshare went to the investment that's paying off now. And I get to tell you this story in the conference room in my own home because of it. Make the commitment today. The way I did July 16th, 2018. Live your dream. And remember, the mistakes that we make are just lessons to help us navigate through future opportunities. I'll talk to y'all soon.